The person in the basement. This happened a couple years ago. I don't like talking about it that much. It just never really seemed like a big deal to me as a kid. But the older I get, the more I think about it, and the more it haunts me. It was New Year's Eve 2011, and me and a couple of my friends were having a sleepover. My friend's neighborhood was relatively new, so there were still houses being built around him. We had stayed up until midnight, but were still hyper on sugar and had no intention of sleep. One of my friends had the idea of going to play hide and seek in one of the houses being built. We asked his mom, she was okay with it, but she gave us her cell phone to hold on to and to text my dad's friend in case anything happened. We took the phone, got on our coats, and headed outside. The house was only about 100 yards away from the front porch, so it wasn't that far of a walk. We jogged across the street since it was relatively windy out, and we didn't want to stay in the cold air. We decided to play in pairs, but if you were hiding, you had to stay with your teammate. I volunteered to be a seeker, so the two hiders headed into the house while me and the other seeker began to count. Once I hit 60, the game began. The house was dark and cold, and the only source of light was a bright moon shining through every window and door. We were standing in the empty shell of someone's house. No inner walls had been put up yet, and no carpeting on the floors. The only thing on the inside were dozens of thick wooden beams. I told my friend I'd take the first floor if he wanted the second, and he agreed. He walked past me and up the steps. I was now alone. Something about being in there boosted my confidence, like I was an adventurer or something like that. I walked around the first floor with a smile on my face, braver than ever. I called out the names of my friends, trying to hold in my laughter. Since the house was so dark, you could only see 5 feet in front of you, so I made sure to check every nook and cranny. That's when I found the basement. It was dark, an eerie hole in the floor that looked like it would swallow anything that walked into it. They couldn't have gone down there, I thought to myself. There's no way. But I checked the entire first floor and heard nothing from my friend upstairs. So I sucked it up and began down the steps. I walked down slowly, taking careful steps because it was nearly impossible to see anything. My footsteps echoed through the dark room. I was only able to see my fingertips. I walked slowly, listening for any type of noise in the darkness. Then I heard something. The slow moving of feet. "Hello?" I said, following with my friends' names. No response. For a quick second I contemplated turning back around, but I knew if this was them, they wouldn't say anything back. I called out their names again. No response. A smile came across my face. I had found them. "Come on out," I said as I walked towards the source of the noise. "I heard you guys move." I began to see the silhouette of something in the corner of the basement. It was a person, but only one. "Didn't we say hiders had to stay together?" I said to the person. They didn't move, just stayed crouched down in the corner, facing the wall. I began to walk closer, fully convinced it was one of my friends. "Hey, I found you, you're out," I said. At that moment, I just wanted to get out of the basement. I continued to walk closer. I still wasn't close enough to make out any body features. Whoever it was breathing rather loudly, loud enough for me to hear it from a couple of feet away. Me being the naive kid I was, still thinking it was one of my friends just trying to scare me, smiled. I didn't know what else to do, but I wanted to take a step closer. That's when the breathing was overpowered by laughter and loud footsteps from upstairs. "I found you!" I heard through the ceiling. I quickly turned around and ran back upstairs to see who was found, hoping whoever was in the basement with me would follow. I waited on the first floor as I heard them coming down the steps. "Got them both," my friend said as he came into view. I stood there, a confused look on my face. How did he find them both? I thought to myself. But to my surprise, here came both hiders, walking from upstairs. My heart dropped. I felt the blood rush out of my face. My legs go weak. I slowly turned around, stumbled towards the front door, without saying a word. "Where are you going?" they asked. I couldn't open my mouth to speak. There was only one thought in my head at this time. Who is in the basement with me? I made it to the front door, slowly turning the knob, slipped outside, and began running back to my friend's house. I wanted to get as far away from the house as possible. I began to feel tears welling up in my eyes. I made it to the front porch and collapsed, barely being able to catch my breath because I was so hysterical. I lay there for what felt like ages when I heard my friends come up behind me. I don't even remember what they were saying. All I could think about was the person in the basement. After I calmed down, I told them what happened, and they seemed as freaked out as me. The fact that I had talked directly to a person for so long is what scared me so much. We decided not to tell his parents since we figured they wouldn't believe us. I didn't sleep for a week after that, and I still have nightmares about it sometimes. A few months after that night, the house was finished and a family moved in. And I never heard any complaints about a squatter or anything. The older I get, the more I've come to realize it was probably a crackhead or something like that. And sometimes I feel guilty because I know I probably could have helped save them. But it is still terrifying to me. So, to the person in the basement, let's not meet again. How long was he watching me? I used to live in a townhouse or duplex by myself with my dog and 2 cats near a train station. There were often commuters who would park outside my place and pass through day and night. Occasionally I had cigarettes or stuff stolen from my front veranda. I even had my next door neighbor's ex-boyfriend come to my door telling me he had a hitman after him and he had a gun. But none of this scared me like the night I was watched. My dog lives indoors and I would take him out for a last wee before bed. My backyard light was broken, was up too high to change the bulb, so I always took him out the front. That night, it was around 11 p.m. and I took him out the front. It was a hot summer night and I was mindlessly standing on the footpath when I saw some movement across the road from me. Out of nowhere, a man had appeared and was walking diagonally across the street away from me. I thought it was odd because I hadn't seen him come from the other direction. I continued to think about it. Where he had come from was outside a house that was being renovated. I knew the owners weren't living there and thought maybe he was going to try and steal stuff. So I kept looking down the road to where he had gone. He turned the corner and went down the next street. I kept watching, and then suddenly I see his head pop around the corner to see if I'm still outside. This gives me the absolute creeps, so I grab my dog and go inside. I turn off all my lights and go upstairs to my bedroom, which is in the front of the townhouse and faces the street. I thought I would keep watch of my neighbor's house and call the police if he came back. I peer through my blinds, which cover sliding doors coming off a small balcony. And like clockwork, I see a dark figure walk down from the corner and down my street. He's moving towards the house across the road, and then I suddenly lose sight of him. A tree in front of my townhouse obscures my view for a moment, and then he is there. He's not just there, he stopped at the top of my driveway, standing there like an effing Jason Voorhees. I kid you not, his arms were out by his sides, and his legs apart in an unnatural stance, like he was preparing for something, like he wanted to kill me. My heart is racing so hard I can barely hear, and I'm standing there slack-jawed looking at my would-be assailant when one of my cats comes to see what's happening. My cat slides his body between the blinds in the window, further opening it, and I see this person. This man is looking up towards me. I'm thinking surely he sees me. If he does, this doesn't stop him. He starts walking down my driveway undeterred and fixated. I lose sight of him under the balcony and on it. By this time, my eyes are watering in fear and tears are streaming down my face. I don't know what to do. I go and sit on my bed and pick up my mobile and dial my dad, who lives a suburb away. He answers. I whisper to him what is happening, and he said he will be there as soon as he can. I lie down in my bed and lie as still as I can, tears rolling down my cheeks, pure fear, not knowing what this man is doing downstairs, and if he could get in. What if I hadn't locked the doors? And then it dawned on me. Why am I lying in the dark crying? Turn a light on. So I did. What seemed like a lifetime was probably just a couple minutes later my dad arrived. He had an umbrella with him. I live in Australia, so no guns, but he could have at least brought a knife. I stayed on the phone with my dad while he searched outside for the man. The man was gone. Maybe me turning on the light scared him off. I called the police, who said I should have called sooner. Of course I should have. I don't know why I didn't. It came out with a sniffer dog and didn't find him either. I didn't know what he wanted for a good year after that. I was scared of living there. I'm still a scaredy cat, but reading other stories makes me realize I'm not alone. And we can all learn from these experiences. So I, or we, know what to do if something scary happens.